Yes, people, how are we all doing? Hope everyone is fit and well. Now, in this edition of Prison News, I'm going to talk about a couple of topics that are popular in the news today. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you'll realise that I've been doing prison news for a few months now, but it's been a couple of weeks since I've done one, so hopefully you'll enjoy the content, people. But the first one that popped up today, and I'll just read out the title. What it says is, inside the prison where mass murderer Anders Breivik is kept as he sues Norway in a bid to end his isolation. Now, the prisons in Norway compared to the prisons in the UK is a massive difference. The prisons over in Norway are a luxury. Anyone that's served time or anyone that's watched the prison documentaries about UK prisons will realise, if you watch the prisons in Norway, what a massive difference. It's like living in luxury over there, but their prisons are more to do with rehabilitation rather than just lock them up. But I am going to be doing a separate video on different prisons, and I will cover the topic of the Norway prisons. But Anders Breivik, if anybody doesn't know the name or not familiar with it, you'll probably be familiar with the crime that he committed when he killed 77 people in Norway. Now, this incident that he committed, there was two separate ones, but the one that most people will remember is when he went on a shooting spree and he opened fired on a load of teenagers on an island in Norway. And on the island, he killed 60 odd kids, ranging from the age of 14 to 17. But he also set off a car bomb in Oslo about an hour and a half before he killed all those teenagers. And in the car bomb attack, I think he killed around about 8 people when I was researching up on it. And then he went and dressed up as a police officer, jumped on a ferry, went across with some fake ID across to the island. And this is how he got his way onto the island. And with his automatic weapon, unloaded it and killed over 60 teenagers. But believe it or not, in Norway, there is no life without parole, where they've got to set a recommendation or they've got to give you a set sentence in Norway. And for 77 killings, Anders Breivik got a maximum of 21 years. And the reason why this has popped up is because he's complaining about his time in isolation, because he's kept in a separate part of the prison, probably, or not probably, most likely for his own protection. Because for killing that amount of teenagers, I can only imagine that the rest of the prison population will be wanting to get a hold of this inmate and act out their own justice. But he's complaining about his isolation because he's been in isolation, it's saying, for 12 years now. But believe it or not, in his isolation, right, it says here, the 44-year-old lives in a dedicated section of the prison, which includes a fitted kitchen with a washing machine, microwave, stainless steel worktops, cupboards, and even a dishwasher. There is also a gym featuring expensive fitness equipment, including a treadmill, leg press, and row machine. Now, I've had a look at some of the pictures and the images, what they're talking about in this article as well. There's also a separate living space with a large flat screen TV, leather settees, coffee tables, candles placed on top, a radiator, and 2 large windows with a view. It even features decorative art on the walls, including a black and white image of the Eiffel Tower. Now, looking at that image on here of his room and his living space, it's like looking at a brochure or a leaflet for a hotel. It looks like a 5-star hotel, and this is the type of quarters that he's living in. And he's actually complaining about it. He wants to try and do time in one of these prisons over here. Put him in Durham prison for that amount of time, and he'll sharp complain about his time, because that what they're living in over in Norway is absolute luxury. But he'll be out within 21 years, because the maximum sentence is 21 years. And he's demanding that the Norwegian government allow him to have correspondence with the outside world. But the reason why he done this attack was because he was against the government, he was far right. And it's still saying that he's proud of what he done. He still holds the same ideological views. And for this case where he's taken the government to court, it's now saying the judge is expected to deliver a verdict in the coming weeks without a jury. But to me, that's just absolutely outrageous how he can even do that sort of thing, take the government to court when he's in for 77 murders. He's got to live in quarters like this. And he's even, I'm just looking at a picture here on now, he's also allowed to keep 3 budgies. He has access to a basketball court where he can spend his time. So he's got plenty of choice, plenty of things to do to fill his time. And if that was in this country, you would not be complaining about that sort of living space, them sort of luxuries. But it was in 2011 when this attack happened, because it just says here, in 2011, Breivik killed 8 people with a car bomb in Oslo and shot dead 69 people with links to the Norwegian Labour's Party youth wing at a summer youth camp on the island of Utøya. He's now incarcerated in a prison located on the shores of the lake that surrounds the same island. But like I've mentioned there, when you're looking at that sort of luxury, he's got quite a bit of cheek to be complaining about living in spaces like this. But I'm not sure what will happen when his time is up, because Norway is a lot different to what we're used to in the UK. But when his 21 years is up, I'd imagine there'll be some sort of parole that he's going to be on a probationary period. But I don't know where they're going to be housing somebody like this, because nobody in Norway, unless he goes to live in amongst the party that he believes in, he will not be able to live in peace in his country when he's done some atrocity like this, killing that amount of people. You just wouldn't expect anywhere in the world to let somebody out after killing 77 people, the majority of them kids, youths, teenagers, and letting them back out. Because if he's still saying he's got no remorse, and he's also saying he still believes in the same ideological views, then what is he going to do when he's released? He's obviously going to go and do something similar, because that's the views that he believes in. But I'll leave that one there for now, and I'll move on to the next story, people, because like I've just mentioned, I'll cover a couple of stories in this just to keep it a bit more interesting, and that I'm not just talking about the same story. I'll actually talk about another one that's popped up, which is another one who's foreign. And this one is Oscar Pistorius. I don't know if any of you have seen. I've seen it on the news the other day. He's just been released from prison earlier this month. And the title of this one is Oscar Pistorius cleaning at a local church in list of jobs to appease parole officers. So he's been released early for good behaviour from prison, and he's now got to do parole activities or probation activities, whatever you want to call them. And he's now 37-year-old, and I'm sure everyone will know of this case because it was on the news throughout his trial. It was broadcast nearly every day. And he's 37-year-old now and he's a Paralympian. And he's only spent 9 years behind bars for murdering his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp. Now, I'll just go over the case a little bit because I do remember it. Obviously, with it being on the news a lot, and it was on the news every day covering aspects of the trial as it was going through it. Because at first, Oscar Pistorius was blaming a masked intruder for murdering his girlfriend. Now, Oscar has no legs. That's why he's a Paralympian. And I think it was around about 2 a.m. in the morning when his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp, has went to the toilet during the night. And she's been shot dead. She's been shot 3 times while she was sitting on the toilet. And like I mentioned previously, he was trying to say it was a masked intruder who done the shooting. But when it went to trial and it came out, it was actually him that done the shooting. When his wife or girlfriend, I'm not sure if they were married, it was girlfriend, sorry, at the time, was sitting on the toilet, he's getting out of bed. And they could tell because he didn't have his attachments on the bottom of his leg. So when the forensics done it, they could see that it was his head height where he'd done the shooting from. And that's how he got convicted at court, and he spent 9 years in prison. But it says here that Oscar Pistorius has to sweep church floors and park cars for his local congregation to satisfy his parole officers after his release from prison. But it says one concern is that Oscar does not have to travel far to carry out his community service, as any fares that have to be met will come out of the South African public funds. The church is close to Arnold's home, and he's a regular face there on a Sunday morning, so Oscar will feel welcome there. He could sweep the floors or be given a yellow bib to help direct cars to parking areas as it gets very busy on Sunday mornings. He could be given duties by helping at a local police station because he could remain private. Obviously, over in South Africa, Oscar Pistorius is a massive name, so he will not be able to go unnoticed wherever he goes. The Insider has revealed that Pistorius, who competed in London 2012 Olympics, must stay away from social media as part of his parole conditions. However, during this time behind bars, Pistorius reportedly spent his time reading the Bible and inviting fellow inmates to join him. The church's website states, "For Waterkloof congregation, it is very important to be able to create a warm, cosy and relaxed atmosphere in which everyone can feel welcome and at home." Pistorius, that's just going to say exactly what it is, but I'll just go over the dates of it. Pistorius shot dead his 29-year-old model girlfriend on Valentine's Day 2013, only to claim he thought she was a dangerous intruder hiding in his bathroom. So sorry people, the ones that know this story, I got a bit mixed up there. If you're all still watching, you don't have to correct us in the comments. He's went on to claim he thought she was a dangerous intruder hiding in his bathroom. So I got mixed up there because the case is over 10-year-old. But the ones that'll be watching the comments wanting to correct us, I got it wrong. But never mind, I'll not edit the details in the video. I'll leave it as it is. But when I said he said, excuse me there, people. But when I said that part about he was blaming it on a masked intruder who shot his girlfriend, I got it mixed up. He thought his girlfriend was the masked intruder who was hiding in the bathroom, so he shot through the door. But I'm sure, when it first came about, he was trying to blame somebody else. But I'm not 100%, as you can tell, with the case. I knew bits of it, but I got it mixed up a little bit. But never mind, we're talking about the headlines of this story anyway, which was about Oscar Pistorius having to clean the local church to please the parole officers. But again, I'll refer to over in here, he's getting off quite lightly with his sentence, and anybody who has the opportunity to get released from prison early to do outside work, even if it means sweeping churches or parking cars for churchgoers on a Sunday morning, any amount of people would rather be doing that than sitting in prison. But I'll leave that one there for now, people. Hopefully you did enjoy that little bit content. It is a little bit different about speaking about the UK prisons, and I will be doing more stories on prison news as it comes up. So keep an eye out, people. And remember, if you're not subscribed, go down, hit that button, help the channel grow. There's loads of more content coming. Enjoy the rest of your day, people. Take care.